Okay, part two. Getting pretty far. Definitely tools you'll need. That 6-foot level comes in really handy when framing. I bought 3-step stringers and actually mounted them in a way that makes it 4 steps, which requires a handrail. Kind of disappointing, so I think I'm going to cut off that bottom step on these ones. But then the far steps, I'm going to do a handrail. Here's a Trex. An air nailer is really helpful, but also can cause a lot of damage, especially if you're trying to use it on these stringers. You can chip these corners off really easily. The joists, putting those up, none of them were really straight, and I was told I didn't really need blocking, but I think that was bad advice because I put the rafter ties up and it doesn't really hold the joist sturdy. The rafter ties just hold the joist down to the beam. These hangers, you definitely want a 4-pound hammer to get the nails into the ledger board, and then I suggest 2.5-inch screws for those angles so you can get into the ledger board and pull the joist into the ledger board a little bit. My flashing's all done. Got that J trim up, still haven't figured out exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm painting some fascia for this front here. I started putting the Trex on. I did some cheaper joist tape, got off Amazon. It's not bad, but it's really easy to damage as you're sliding boards across it. But this blocking, that really helped because all of my boards, almost all of them, were crooked in some way. So if you measure a template block, cut it with a miter saw. Over there I lined up, so I got a 14.5-inch template board, and then just cut all these blocks. And then what you do is you put them in at an angle and then hammer them straight, and that straightens out all your joists and makes them very sturdy. Today's Saturday. Yesterday, Friday, I had my rough-in inspection and passed that, and the inspector actually stepped up on that post and walked and stepped on each joist and checked to make sure there was a good joist to beam connection. So he was walking on this and I was standing here watching him and just sweating because I had not walked across those joists because I felt them when I just had the rafter ties on and they were loose. So the blocking I had just at the end here before the cantilever, which is 2 feet of an overhang right here. Well, I just had this row of blocking in when he inspected it, and I decided to put in another row of blocking because some of the boards did look, or some of the joists did look pretty crooked still, but that straightened them out. If you have a standard size block and just work your way down through, it'll straighten them out. It did bend some of the rafter ties because I had hooked those up first. Maybe I should have put those on after the blocking. It's really challenging to get the old deck lined up with the new deck. There was some sagging in between the beam and the ledger there because I have a lot of sun that hits that spot, and the sun just wore and shrunk down that part of the deck straight where these loose boards are connecting. So I had to do a lot of shimming, a lot of extra nails. I used some of my extra ledger bolts and just connected that really tight to the old deck. Now I have I got a 20-foot rounded edge, so I have a little bit of an overhang here. I did top down countersunk screws there, and then you start with these clips, and then after that are the hidden fasteners. And what you want to do is you want to work at least a couple boards ahead and leave them kind of loose, otherwise you won't be able to slide in this next Trex board. So I screwed these down tight, put this board in, left these like a little bit up, and then put these next one in, and then you can slide in this board. And then I have a square at the end for spacing, and then I just use this 4-pound hammer to tap it until that square at the end pulls tight. To get the first board snug, I used a clamp, 12-inch clamp to keep it tight. So that gives me a good sturdy couple boards. And then you just work your way from the outside towards the house. The other thing is this picture framing. So it's a 45-degree cut here. It's going to overhang a little bit. It kind of is a little tricky, but I was used to it from the old deck. So you cut a 45 and then it overhangs quite a bit here. You're supposed to only overhang a 1/2 inch, but I'm thinking 3/4 of an inch is good, because you can line up the clamshell and get the fastener right through the center of this and still be in this outer rim joist. Here's the stairs. I'm going to do a railing. I found a really good blog that showed you how to connect these stringer hangers. So it's 10 penny nails. First, you line up all your hangers, and then you can place these. You assemble these first with the blocking in. And again, really easy to damage the stringers. But this is a 4-foot wide steps, and then I'm going to do railing here. I put a temporary 2x4 under just to keep it level and square, and I taped the bottoms because the bottom is where those will rot, and you want to keep some airflow underneath. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do, maybe a stone or some pavers underneath there just to keep like weed whackers from hitting this part. And you can see the boards, still a little bit of twist, a little bit of gap. An air nailer was really easy to put that blocking up, but they're mostly straight now, or at least a lot straighter than they were. But it's important to keep good spacing. You want to be able to basically shovel or run anything over here without tripping, so you want to make sure to plane any high spots, but definitely don't plane anything that you're unsure of, because if you get too low, then you're in trouble and you have to shim up spots so these hidden fasteners don't oversink and then tilt the board up. The square, haven't really used this drywall square a lot, but it does help a little bit to line up things. A big long square helps you measure and be able to draw a line without like missing the last little bit. Other than that, I'm on a roll. I think the rest of these boards will go in. It's just a repeatable process over and over and over again with these hidden fasteners on every joist. And then at the end, I'm going to do a money cut here. Once these are all in place, I'll snap a line right here with the proper spacing, and then I'll be able to put this picture frame piece in here. You can see there's 3 2x boards. Should give me enough. Ideally you have 4, because you want the ends of these boards to be able to clip here to hold them tight, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. So they might be a little bit loose. And then you don't really, you don't want this edge catching the ends of the boards. If they're higher than the picture frame, you'll catch. So I may have to angle grind a nice rounded edge just to make sure that doesn't happen. Other than that, I'm pretty happy with it. Wish I would have maybe spent a little bit more on the lumber, but should be nice when it's done. Part 3, when I finish up the stairs and I'm ready for the final inspection, I'll give it another tour.